In a divorce case, parties file many pleadings, but one of the most important, if not the most important pleading, is the income and expense declaration. Most of the financial issues are going to be decided by the judge using that document. So you really want to get it right. I mean, if any document you want to get right, that's the one you want to get right. It's important for the income and expense declaration to tell a complete story. And to do that, you should feel free to add attachments and even tabs to those attachments to flesh out the story you want to tell the judge. There are 6 top mistakes that people make on their income and expense. Let me just list them for you and then we'll go into detail. The first one is not listing the income of the other side, or at least providing additional information on which the court can make a decision on what they're making. Number 2 is listing your income as a W-2 or self-employed or a hybrid of both. Number 3 is averaging your income if you're not a W-2. So if you have fluctuating income, you want to average your income and reflect that on your income and expense. Number 4 is reflecting unreimbursed employee expenses. If you're an employee and you actually spend money to keep your job, you want to show that. Number 5 is expenses actual versus anticipating. You may have present expenses, but for example, if you're moving out, you may have future anticipated expenses that are higher than your actual, and you want to tell the judge that. And lastly, number 6 is you want to show the expenses you've paid for legal fees, even if presently you don't have an attorney. The first critical mistake is not providing information about the other party's income. You have 2 scenarios. One, you have where the other party does not provide any financials on their income, and the court has no information on which to base a support order. And second one is where you have the other party providing information and it's inaccurate. So for example, first scenario is where they don't provide any information. Well, you got to give the judge some information, even if it's an estimate. For example, when my spouse left, they were making $23 an hour. The second scenario may be where the other party is basically intentionally suppressing their income. For example, you may have to tell the court that my spouse gets regular bonuses, but it's not reflected in their income and expense declaration. The second mistake most people make is making the wrong entry on whether they're self-employed or an employee on the second page of the I.E.D. If you're an employee, first of all, you have to attach several pay stubs to show what your regular pay is. Normally, you have to identify whether you're paid twice a month or biweekly every other week. If you're paid twice a month, then that equates to 24 payments per year. If you're paid biweekly, that equates to 26 payments per year. You need to figure that out for yourself as well for the other side. Now, if you're self-employed, then you really need to attach a profit and loss statement of your business to your income and expense. Also, some jurisdictions require you to attach or lodge with the court your last year's tax returns. Now, some people are not only employees, but they also have a side job, so they really have to make an entry as an employee and also make an entry as though they're self-employed. They're a hybrid situation. The third mistake that people make is not averaging your income. For example, if your income fluctuates, you need to take the last 12 months or the year-to-date average when posting that on the second page of the I.E.D. This brings to the court's attention that your income fluctuates or is seasonal, and that's very important to convey that to the court. So make sure that, when appropriate, average your income over either the last 12 months or the year to date. The fourth major mistake that people have is they don't request unreimbursed employee expenses to be deducted from their income. Let me explain. Many employees expend money out of their own pocket to maintain their job. The best example is that if you're a blue-collar worker and you have to buy your own tools, it's pretty obvious. And you need to request from the judge to actually have that taken off from your income. Remember, if you don't ask, you don't get. And a lot of these expenses add up to a lot of money. It would be better if you can even get your employer to validate that these are unreimbursed employee expenses. Often employers don't want to get involved, but if you can get your employer to make a declaration, that's the best scenario. The fifth mistake people make on their income and expense declaration is not explaining to the judge the difference between their actual and anticipated needs. Now, page 3 of the income and expense literally has a box for both the actual and the anticipated. If, for example, there is a change, you're moving, then you may want to actually fill out 2 page 3s. One for the actual expenses that you have now, and one for your anticipated expenses when you move. It's logical. So tell the complete story. This is part of the process of telling the judge the complete story in that income and expense. The sixth mistake that people make on their income and expense declaration is not listing all their legal expenses. Let me explain. If you're self-represented, you still want to list all the legal expenses you have incurred, such as consulting with an attorney or hiring a paralegal to fill out paperwork. The key takeaways on this income and expense declaration video is twofold. One, get it right, and two, tell a complete story. First of all, why do you want to get it right? Because the judge is going to make all his financial decisions based on this income and expense, including support and attorney's fees. Secondly, you have to get the story complete, and feel free to use additional attachments so you can flesh out your story and your one-line entries on that income and expense declaration. Have any questions or suggestions? Leave them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe for upcoming videos. For free resources such as attorney referrals and legal checklists, please visit our website, utkdivorce.com. And thank you for watching.